So I recently made the decision to revisit the first Jrpg I ever played, an experience that changed the way I viewed the nature of video games, igniting a passion that still burns bright 2 decades later. And if you couldn't already tell by the thumbnail, the game in question is Final Fantasy VIII. But before I get into how I feel about my recent playthrough, I want to go back in time and explain just how big of an impact this game had on my young mind. And despite the glowing way I'm talking about the game now, it wasn't exactly love at first sight. Technically, my first glance of the game came from the pages of a magazine I was flipping through back in high school. There it was, Final Fantasy VIII, I think? I'm already confused and a little irritated. This is part 8 of Final Fantasy? How final? How final is it really? Also, I made the not totally unreasonable assumption that I was excluded from the series, having never played or heard of parts 1 through 7. I was even more confounded by the artwork in the ad. What is this? Games don't look like this. They'll probably never look like this. See, at the time, I only had an N64 and was currently having a blast playing through Gauntlet Legends for the 13th time. And this was a palate cleanse after I spent $60 of my birthday money on Superman 64. So my brain couldn't fathom this, because the games I played looked like this. And this, I guess. The mystery was too deep, too unsettling for my teenage mind to wrap itself around, so I turned the page and forgot all about it. Time passed, but the mystery wasn't done with me. Not one, not two, but all 3 of my gamer friends from school began bringing up Final Fantasy VIII. I couldn't believe my ears. That weird fake game from the magazine. I remember sticking to my guns. The game looks dumb as hell. I'd rather play a real game, like Gauntlet Legends. I don't know what you guys are talking about. More time passed and summer vacation was upon us. 2 of my gamer friends came over to hang out. One of them brought his tiny little PlayStation and his copy of Final Fantasy VIII, asking the other for help with a boss fight. I was baffled. I just couldn't get away from this damn game. So they booted it up. I saw my first random battle and was not impressed. This doesn't even make sense. These people are standing in a line, waiting to attack. Seems kind of polite for a battle. They laughed my criticisms off. My friend who had already beaten the game guided this team of strangely designed characters to the boss. Before entering the battle proper, he browsed through a series of incomprehensible menus full of numbers and nonsensical words. I couldn't follow any of it. Yo, your characters suck. How'd you even make it this far? My friend teased the other. The battle made 0 sense to me, but ultimately it was decided it was hopeless. You might as well start over. You can't beat the game with a party this week. Disappointed and disillusioned with his failure, my friend gave up on the endeavor altogether. So much so that he left his PlayStation in the game at my house when he left. Clearly not a kind gesture towards me, but just out of sheer resignation. I remember days passing, maybe even weeks. Then it happened. I was bored out of my mind, so on a whim, I decided to give this stupid game a try. Things would never be the same. All of my prior disdain was being washed away by the waves of the opening cutscene, and the eerie chanting lulled me into a trance-like state. Okay, wait. Why is this music kinda sick? Why does this kinda look cool? Who the hell are these people? The cinematic intro of Final Fantasy VIII bombards you with strange imagery and flashes of unfamiliar characters. But there was some kind of magic lurking beneath the strangeness. It was an undeniable vibe back then, and honestly, it's still a vibe in 2025. And that's all it really took. The game had pulled me into its world, through its striking visuals, unique character design, and the music. Holy fuck, the music. Beyond all that objectively awesome stuff, what really caught me off guard was the story. Up to that point, in my mind at least, a good story was something you could only get from a book, or a show, or a movie. I grew up playing Mario, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and if I'm being honest, wrestling games. Like a lot of wrestling games. I never even thought, what if a video game had a deeply captivating narrative? And yet, here I was, living out an actual adventure in the shoes of Squall, a fairly relatable avatar for a teenage boy, perhaps to a fault at times. So I went to school, albeit some weird military school, made friends, had a hot teacher, played some cards, killed some bugs. I was enraptured by it all. And honestly, it just kept getting better. From the mission in Dalit to the daring kidnapping of a president, the game just wasn't letting up. So around the time I had planned and botched the assassination of an evil sorceress and the events that followed, I just couldn't believe what I was playing. It was a game, a movie, a book, all wrapped up into an undeniably cool package, bursting with style, substance, and swords that were also guns. If anything, it was too good. Exploring this digital world had a hypnotizing effect on me, and I consumed every shred of this game's content with unbridled joy. I collected all the GFs. Not those ones, these ones. I scoured the lands for hidden quests and items. I even conquered the absolute unit of a super boss, Omega Weapon, mostly thanks to Angelo. Good boy. By the time the credits rolled, I had fell in love, driven passenger side in another man's consciousness, even defeated a lady who was also a buff man. We even went to damn space. And all while being serenaded by the most beautiful soundtrack I had ever heard. So it wouldn't be an understatement to say the experience changed me in pretty substantial ways. And when there was finally nothing left for me to do in the game, I learned that the next entry, Final Fantasy IX, had just been released. And it was off to the races. I played 9, 10, 7, and every JRPG I could get my hands on. A trend I'm happy to say still continues to this day. And it's this love that I have for this genre that inspired me to make this channel and talk about these games. So what better way to commemorate the occasion than to go back and revisit Final Fantasy VIII, the game that started it all.